first tutorial video regarding sharpening. We are the Sharp Cook. I am George.
And I'm Stelios.
We are very pleased to meet all of you for the first time in a video, and we hope that this will be of assistance for everybody that is a beginner in sharpening in order to understand the basics of sharpening and all the process required for it. So, at first, what we would like to say is that sharpening by definition means steel removal. Steel removal means that is slowly taking out steel from your knife, which is not something that you want to happen. So, before getting to the sharpening process, just make sure that your knife really needs it, and this extra sharpness cannot be produced by just honing your knife. Honing and sharpening are two different things, and by honing we mean the process where we use a honing rod. Especially for Japanese knife, the honing rod should not be steel, should not be diamond, it should be only ceramic fine grit honing rod. So, before going to the stones, it will be very helpful for you in order to reduce your sharpening needs to use the honing every time you are cutting, you are at work, or you are doing your food preparation at home. We showed in another video the honing process, but I will show it again. The honing process, practically what it does is realigning the edge of the knife. During cuts, the edge of the knife, depending if you are right-handed or left-handed, it's moving on the one side or the other. What the honing does is realigning this edge, so it improves a lot your cutting. The way that you should use your hone is you hold it with your not good hand. You hold the knife with your good hand on here. You put it on a towel on your kitchen bench, and what you do is at the same angle that you are going to use for sharpening, you are passing in moves like that, very, very, very gently. You don't need to apply pressure on the one side and on the other the same, making sure that all the blade is passing through your hone. The honing process is always done in this kind of movement towards the end, so it should never be like that. It's always like that, downwards to the edge. So this is regarding honing. Now let's get to sharpening. When you see that even though you are honing your knife, still is not performing as well as you wish, then it's the time that you have to go to the stones. You have to go to the sharpening. First of all, let's show you what are the required instruments, the required accessories that you need in order to do your sharpening. The first thing you need is either a sharpening pond or a sink, or simply you just put a towel on a bench and you put your stone holder on top of this bench and on top of this towel. Some people prefer using the sink because you need the water in order to make the sharpening, so you have there available the water, but also you can use it with a spray. And some other people prefer to do it just right on the bench. So this is our sharpening pond if we want to use it. The next thing, if we're using on a sink or sharpening pond, what we need is a sink bridge, what we call a sink bridge. This is an adjustable sink bridge, so it can grow small or bigger in order to fit exactly your sink or your sharpening pond. Then the second thing you need is a stone holder. The stone holder, which can be in different shapes, there are alternative options regarding the stone holder, can be something like that, which is again adjustable and can fit all types of stones, or in some cases, some of the stones they have their own stone holder. Some are coming without, some are coming with. So, depending on the stones you are having, you are using the right stone holder. In our case today, we are going to use the Shapton Glass sharpening stones, which they have in the set that we are going to use. They're coming with their own stone holder, so we don't need to use the other stone holder. Now, the stones. Of course, the most necessary accessory in this process are the stones. The stones come in different grits, and depending on what are your needs for the specific sharpening, you will determine what are the stones that are required. A usual process requires 2, 3, or even sometimes 4 stones, different grits of stones, to complete the sharpening process. If your knife is in good condition, there is no chipping, there is no major damage like a broken tip or something like that, or you don't require to do thinning, which is something we're gonna talk later, the best way to start is at about 1000 grit. 1000, 1500, 1200, 2000. If you just need a normal sharpening. This is the basic stone. It is usually referred to as the basic stone, the grit 1000, and it is where you start under normal conditions. Now, if your knife is chipped or you need to do something major on it, then you go to coarser stones, lower grits, where you may start from 120, which is of course too rough, or 320, 400, 600 are the grits that are available. Now, in today's sharpening, what we are going to show is a process with 3 stones. We're going to start with grit 1000. We are going to go to the next step, which is the grit 3000, which is a medium-high grit stone. And then we're going to finish with grit 8000, which is practically a polishing stone. What we need to mention here is that most professional sharpeners and most professional people say that in everyday cooking you don't practically need stones above than 3 or 4000. Of course, it improves the cutting, but you won't see major differences in your cutting performance. It's mostly for better looks in shining the knife, and if you want to have a knife that it is razor sharp. Now, let's do the setup. As we said, here today we are not going to use the pond. We are going to use the stone holder that comes with Shapton Glass, and we're gonna start with stone 1000. The first thing we have to do, these are new stones, so we don't practically need to do it, but what is very important to make sure is 2 things. That both surfaces that take part in the process are both very straight and flat. And which are the 2 parts? Your stone and your knife. So, the first thing we want to do is to make sure our stone is totally flat, because using the stone over time, what it will make it dish, it will make it curve, because it's practically impossible to use equally all the surface of the stone. So where you press a little bit more and you apply more the knife, this part will dish, will deteriorate, and the stone will curve. In order to make sure that our stones are flattened, there is a certain process which is as follows. We take a pencil when the stone is dry, before we wet it, and we draw lines on the surface of the stone like that. And then the same on the other side. Now, what we are going to use to make sure our stone is totally flattened, we are going to use what we call a lapping plate. A lapping plate is usually a rough stone made out of diamond particles, which is used in order either to reprofile knives when we have serious damage or when we want to flatten the stones. This specific flattening stone, which is by Suehiro, a Japanese company that we are importing, it is two-sided. It has one side with 150 grit and one side with 500 grit. Depending on the stone that we want to flatten, we're gonna use the equivalent side of the lapping plate. In this case, because we have 1000 grit in our stone, we can go easily with the 4000. There is no need to go with 150 grit. So what we do is we fix the lapping plate on its base and we are going to wet our stone. And we're going to start rubbing the stone in a gentle manner in the beginning until all the lines we draw with the pencil will be equally removed, will be totally removed. You can use it in 8, you can use it up and down, but what is the purpose is to keep doing it until you see all the pencil marks are gone. In this case, this is done easily and the marks, they're gone very quickly because our stone, as I said, is already flat. It's a new stone. In your case, you will see in the beginning that the marks on the sides of the stone will go faster and what will remain are the pencil marks in the middle, because this is where we usually apply the pressure and this is where it's usually the stone dishes. So for every stone we have to follow this process. It's not a necessary process to do every time you sharpen, but if you sharpen 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then most probably, depending also of course on the stone that you are using, because there are some stones that are harder and dish out more in bigger, you can use it more times before you need to lap it, and there are some stones that are softer and they need more frequently. So the average would be every 3-4 times you sharpen, you will need to flatten using the lapping plate. Then the next step that we're going to need is to check if our knife is straight. What we're gonna do, because if it's not straight, there will be no contact, full contact with the stone, and therefore the sharpening will not happen as we want it. So the first thing we do is we take our knife and we check it for straightness using this angle. Then what we can do is also check the other side of the knife, and we can see that in this case our knife is fully straight, and also in any other angle that we may need in order to make sure that our knife is straight. If we confirm that our knife is straight, then we can start the sharpening process. Trick in order for you to define exactly the area that you want to sharpen in the edge of the knife is to use a marker and draw a line very slowly exactly at the edge of the knife, and as you are going to sharpen you will see that this line starts to disappear. This is making sure that you're equally sharpening all along the blade, your knife, and you are not over sharpening more higher that you need, and that, or you are really sharpening the edge of the knife. So you apply in both. I'm not gonna do it now. You apply on both sides, and this is, let's say, a guideline that will make you very visible what you are doing while you are sharpening. Now, after we do that, it's time to start the process. So we wet our stones again. We have made sure that our stones are flattened. We wet them again. Just a note. These stones, the Sutton glass, are fully splash, what we call splash and go. Splash and go means that even this amount of water is enough to get us started with the sharpening process. There are levels. Some stones, they need a very quick soak in the water, so let's say 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, and there are some other stones that need more extended soaking in order to perform as well as they should. These specific stones, they are splash and go, so this splashing is enough for you to start. Now, let's talk about the body position while we are sharpening. First of all, the right height should be that the knife is where I'm having it here, so around your waist height. The first thing is the body position. The body position should be in a way that is very close to the sharpening stone, and it is a little bit turned towards your good hand. So it gives you the possibility, your hand, to move back and forth. And this is why we need this body position. It has to be very stable, and this hand, your good hand, has to be free in order to move back and forth. The second most important thing is the way we hold the knife. The right way to hold the knife is by putting depending on the side, we're gonna show both sides. If we are doing it like that, if we want to sharpen this side, we are going to put our thumb on the spine of the knife and our point finger, exactly there in the choil around the edge and at the lower part of the knife where the bevel is. Now, holding this knife with the right hand, with your good hand, then what you do is you touch the stones and you are trying to set the right angle. If you are a beginner, there are some tools, there are some accessories that can help you defining the right angle, like this one. This is an accessory that you put on the knife, and it helps you not only defining the angle, but also keeping the angle stable while you are moving back and forth, which is the most important thing of all. We don't highly recommend this, but some people like it and they may use it. With the European knives is that the steel used and the heat treatment that they undergoing is making the knives much harder. This allows them to be sharpened, grinded in much lower angles than most of the European knives, and because of that, of course, they are sharper. Usually the Japanese knives, of course, depending on the maker, they are grinded and need to be sharpened in an angle that it is around 12 to 15 degrees on each side. So what we need to do is to define this angle. Some people use the coin method, which means they are putting 2 coins under the spine of the knife, and this is more or less 12 to 15 degrees. In any case, what is more important than having exactly the angle of the to be 12 or 13 or 14 is for this angle to be steady. As we go back and forth in sharpening, we need to keep it steady. And this is one of the most difficult things in sharpening, especially as a beginner, because until you develop a muscle memory that slides the knife steadily at the same angle, you may have some issues in the beginning, but it's just practice. When you start sharpening, I'm talking about the beginners now, when you start sharpening, don't start with your good knives. Don't start with your Japanese knives for sure. Start with some knives that they are not of high value and start practicing until you see that you develop the muscle memory required for this steady angle action. So let's try this knife. We're going to dull it first. This knife is a knife that it is well sharpened. So what we are going to do is we are going on the lapping plate, we are going to dull it, to make it dull, in order to see the result.
Let's check it.
It's still sharp.
Okay. Let's test.
Okay.
It doesn't have pepper.
So we make it a little bit dull and we start our process. Make sure always your stones are wet. So we hold it the right way and we apply the angle that it should be. The Japanese knives, about this angle that I have right now, is the correct angle. And with our other hand, we are helping the process of sharpening. What our other hand should do is, by applying 2 or 3 fingers at about this height, so on the bevel of the knife, and depending on the area that we are sharpening, because we don't sharpen all the knife at once with one move, even though some people like this kind, we're going to talk later, we are applying the pressure exactly at the area that we want to sharpen, and we start by doing back and forth motions. These, the ones that are going back, are called the pull motions, the pull strokes. The ones that are going forth are called the trailing stroke, the trailing. Now, we are applying, as I said, the pressure in the specific area that we want to sharpen, and we are doing this for a few times. Then we move our fingers and we move more back. The best way is to count in order to make sure that all the edge will be done the same number of strokes.
We should mention also that you can use also either pull or push motion. The best way, it's whatever you prefer. Okay.
Exactly, there are so many methods and preferences among the professional sharpeners.
Exactly.
Some say that you should use the knife at a 90-degree angle and go back and forth. Some say that you should use a 45-degree angle and go back and forth. Some say do it in one stroke, the whole knife, what I'm doing right now.
Others say change hands and be...
Yes, others say when you want to sharpen the opposite side, you should change hand and do the same process. For me, personally, I prefer just to change side. This is the side we marked. This one we did already. It's not the one we marked, so we're going to show it later here. Now, one of the most important things, we have done some strokes, and what now we need to define is if we are ready to change side. The sign that shows you that you are ready to change side is what we call bear. The bear practically is the steel is moving a little bit upwards on the opposite side from the one we are sharpening, and is creating something that you can feel with your thumb or with your fingers, depending the way you want to do, and it shows you that the knife is ready, already sharpened on this specific stone, on this specific side, and you can change side and go and continue on the other side. Now, what is important, apart from feeling the burr, which doesn't have to be feel it very, very strongly, just a little burr is enough for you to understand that your knife is ready on this side and on this stone, on 1000 grit. What is evenly important is that the burr is constant. So what you want to do is to check along the edge, every point of the knife, and make sure you feel this, you have the same feeling of this burr. This, I feel that it may need a couple of passes more in order to develop a good burr, so I'm going to continue with a few passes more.
Okay, sometimes also you cannot feel the burr because of the grit is very high. Let's say from 3000 and up, the burr is very difficult to feel even in the fingernail. Even in the light, you can see it in the light. So you will go from there by feeling. Okay.
Okay. Now we have an equal burr. I can feel it all along the knife, and it's time to change. As I said, some people prefer to change hand. It's not convenient for me. It's up to you to choose your preferred method. So what I do is I turn around. When I turn around, what I do is I use exactly the opposite fingers in the places that I used before. So I put my point finger on the spine and I put my thumb in the choil as I showed you before. And I'm starting doing the same process at the same angle. So applying pressure at the specific area of the knife that I want to sharpen and moving towards the back in push and pull motions. And then again going up. As I said, if you count is a good thing in order to make sure that you remove the equal amount of steel on both your sides of the knife and you don't change the geometry of the bevel. If you see here, if we make a close-up here, you will see that the marker, I'm not sure if it's shown rightly, we have just touched the very, very, very edge of the knife, if you see. And you see that it is equally grinded, which means the angle we kept was steady in all the different parts of the knife. I think it needs a little bit more here. With a well sharpened grinded knife like this one, we don't need to go higher than the very, very, very edge of the knife. So at this point we are happy, maybe a little bit just here at the heel. We are happy with the result. We check for burr. We need a little bit more. One important note that we didn't mention. When you are reaching towards the tip of the knife, especially, it's not that important in this kind of knife, which is a santoku, but with knives that have a curve towards the tip, like it is this gyuto, what you need to do is, when you are going on the tip, you need slightly to move up your elbow in order to make sure that also the very front part of the edge is also sharpened. So in this case, with this knife specifically, but also with the other, you see that I'm moving up my shoulder in order to make sure we reach the tip. So let's do a few more here. For me, that I'm a little bit more familiar and experienced regarding sharpening, I can do also these full strokes. If you are a beginner, it's better to avoid the full strokes because it's more difficult to keep a steady angle. If you are experienced, you can use it also this way. But if you are experienced, I guess you would be watching that video. Anyway, now we have the bear. We have the bear also on this side. What we need is to make a few final strokes on this stone from the one and the other side in order to remove this bear and move to our next stone. So we are doing only in this motion and in the same angle that we used in our sharpening. What I'm doing, at least, there are different opinions, is 3 times on the one side, 3 times on the other side, then 2, 2, very, very gently. We don't need to sharpen now, just to remove the bear. 1 and 1. And now we check for sharpness. The way we check for sharpness is with our fingers. Of course, there are ways of cutting paper and things like that, but the more experience you will get, you will see that it will be enough for you just touching with your 3 fingers the edge. You touch it all the way on the edge in order to have the same feeling. If the knife is not well sharpened, you will feel that you can apply pressure and not get cut. If the knife is well sharpened, then you feel in your thumbs that if you move it and apply a little bit pressure, you will be cut.
The best way to check for sharpness is, of course, to place 3 fingers down, the knife 90 degrees, and then check in the angle with your thumb, in the angle that you have already sharpened. Not in 90 degrees like that, but only with your tip to check and see lightly. Please don't run your thumb across the blade, okay? Just the fingertip and see. If you're not familiar with that, or you feel something that does not suit you, you can take a piece of paper and check.
Now we are only in 1000, but still we will see that the knife is much sharper than what it used before. Still it has some teeth, little teeth, because this is 1000 stone, so it's not enough to finish. It has some teeth and it can improve. So the next step is we are changing our stone and we are moving to grit 3000. And we are doing exactly the same process as we did with grit 1000. Make sure our stone is wet. We keep the same angle. The pressure, because this is a big discussion, the pressure that you have to apply is not a lot. Is especially as you go up the grits, the pressure you apply has to be less. Has to be less. Especially if your knife has any specific problems that you want to fix. So here we are going with a 3000 stone, and what we are doing is practically make the finishing. This is why they're called finishing stones. And then we will go to 8000, which is the polishing stone. Now, in this case, you can see, of course, it's getting more shiny. The edge of the knife is getting more shiny using the 3000 stone than with the 1000. And the burr you are going to feel if you feel it, it will be much less than the burr that you observed in stone 1000. Again, we are checking all the way in the edge the burr. For 3000 we have enough, so we can turn and start the same. I am using the 45 angle for the knife.
45 angle means the body position with the stone.
With the stone, yes. The knife with the stone is 45 degrees. It's not 90 like that, or it's not. Some people even use it like this. For me, my preference, and as we said, it's a matter of preferences. There is no right way or wrong way. I'm using the 45 degree angle. And when I'm finishing, I'm doing some long strokes. But as I said, this requires some experience in order to make sure you are keeping your angle steady. We check for the burr again. We can do a couple of strokes more. And here we have, I believe, enough burr created. Again, we do the stropping. This is practically a stropping we do in order to remove the burr. We do this process, at least I do, in every stone. Very, very gently. One and one, and we are finished. Now let's make another check. I think you will feel from the sound mainly. You see that is going equally, and it looks that is more sharp than it used to be with the 1000, which is normal. If we check with our hands, the fingers, we have exactly the same feeling. Now, as I said in the start, if you just use your knives for home cooking and you don't need something extra, some extra polishing, some to be shiny and whatever, you can stop at 3000. But we're gonna show also the 8000, the polishing stone, which is the last step. Just for your information, there are stones that go up to 30,000. So after the 8,000, we have 10, we have 12, we have 16, and we go up to 30. Some people like it, so the companies make it to make them happy. For sure, it's not necessary for cutting purposes, but okay, since people are asking for it. Now, we're going to the polishing. Now, same angle always, same movements, even a little bit less pressure, because we are up in the 8000 stone. We see on the stone that still here metal is removed. You see the black slurry that is created. So even here,
which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing, because this is what sharpening is all about. But you just be careful not to remove a lot. Okay, if we can have the camera here and to the light, you will see that with stone 8000 there is a mirror shining on the very edge of the knife. It is constant, it is equal, maybe here it needs a little bit more. And this is why it's called polishing stone. What it does is practically polishing the edge. Now we turn. It's not with stone grit 8000. We don't expect to see burr, except unless we have a very soft metal steel, which is not the case in the Japanese knives, but if you are experienced, you may feel it a little bit. Much less, of course, than 1000 and 3000. So we turned around. If you can hear the sound, as I turned, it was a little bit scratching, which was the burr created from the other side. Now you can't hear anything because the burr is removed. Okay, we have here an equal, a little bit of burr has been also created, and we do what we said before, the stropping. So 3 times, 3 times, two, very gently, 2 and 1. Okay, we check. Yes, we have shined our edge. Yes, we are at a very good level at this point, and you will even hear it making less noise and moving much more easier. Now this is what we can call it razor sharp. So this is about the last step of the sharpening process, but we are missing one which is very important, and it's called stropping. What we did in the final stage in the sharpening with the stones. What we are trying to do with the leather that is applied on the strop is to remove even the last burr, micro burr, we can say it, that it is still on the steel. So what we are doing is at the same angle that we followed in the sharpening, and at the same movements that we did in the sharpening, final stage of sharpening, we are passing the knife through the strop
with light pressure.
With very light pressure, because what we want to do is to remove the micro burr that it is now left a little bit on the steel. We make sure that all the edge has contact, and we pass it 4 or 5 times on each side. This is a very important step. Don't skip it. You will see difference in the way that your knife will perform after your sharpening, because it's removing, as we said, the micro burr. So this is all about the sharpening process, but we are left with something very important. First of all, after you are finished the sharpening, make sure you wash and you dry your knife very well before storing it. Also, if you are having a carbon steel and not a stainless steel, it is very good that you apply a little bit of oil, special mineral food grade oil, on the knife that will protect it from rusting, because you know that the carbon steels are very prone to rusting. So what we are doing is we are taking our mineral oil and we spray a very small quantity on our knife on the one side. We're taking a paper towel and apply it on it. Here I put a little bit more than is required, so maybe I can use it on the other side, or I can apply a little bit more on the other side and dry it with a paper towel. Just keep in mind you need a minimal quantity of oil, just a very thin layer in order to protect your knife. And you are done. Then it's safe to store your knife. Last point is that we have to clean for sure our equipment. As you can see here, the stones are a little bit dirty, having still dust on top of them, still remains. So under mild water, never hot water, cold to mild, we are washing the stones, and in case we see some marks on the stones that are not removed by washing it, there is an accessory which is this one, and is called a Nagura stone. And this Nagura stone has two purposes. One is, after you finish the sharpening, to remove, using of course always water, to remove all the marks that are left on the stones, so your stone becomes totally clean. And another use is before sharpening, when your stone is ready to start your sharpening, to create a little bit of slurry. This slurry helps the sharpening process. It's sliding more easily, your knife sliding more easily on the surface of the stone, and is helping also the removal of the steel from the knife, so makes a little bit smoother and faster the sharpening process. And this is the Nagura stone. So I guess that this is all. I don't know if we forgot something about the basics.
Just don't forget that the stones must be dry before you store them. Again, it's very important. And that's all. I think
they have to be the stones. They have to be left on the kitchen rack or in some place vertical to dry at least for 4 or 5 hours. If you store your stones wet, they will be affected in the long run. So make sure that they're well dried before stored. So thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. We hope we helped with this video. And also we are in the process of creating some more videos. This was just the basics of sharpening, where we're going to get deeper into the sharpening or other matters. Thank you very much and take care.
Bye.